Hey, good afternoon, friends. I just was going to take a quick stroll through the garden and thought I would take you with me and just do a quick garden tour because you are not going to believe how much the garden has grown, how much fruit is on the vines of the melons, how many tomatoes that are beginning to ripen. I've already harvested quite a few tomatoes, even despite all of this heat, which causes the blooms to drop. Anytime you have 90 degrees or higher, especially if it's a prolonged time, the blooms of tomatoes will begin to drop. And I have seen some of that. I have seen some of the blooms laying on the ground, and as sad as that makes me, you can't take away the joy that I have for everything else that is just growing like crazy. It's like once the garden reaches a certain point, it just begins to grow so quickly and there's no stopping it. So even though I've seen some bugs that have tried to attack some plants, I have seen some disease, I've seen some early blight on some of the tomatoes. Despite all of those things, I still have fruit coming out of this garden, and that really makes me excited. So I'm going to do a quick garden tour for you all and show you what all is going on in the garden. And I hope all of your all's gardens are going great as well. I don't know if I had the arbor the last time I done a garden tour or not, but it is finally finished, and I have the planter boxes on each side. This one has the Blaze of Glory rose, and I cannot remember the name of this rose, and it is not doing well. As soon as I planted it, we started having a lot of intense heat, so I don't know if it's going to make it or not, y'all. So the cucumbers are doing fabulous, as you can see. And I still have not seen any silver slicers just yet. So either the silver slicer has not produced yet, or the seeds that are supposed to be silver slicer seeds are not what they claim to be. And if that is the case, then this will be the third year in a row that has happened to me, which I hope and pray that's not the case. So this little arbor that has the cucumbers on it, you can slip in behind it here and go through this doorway. You can see from the back side. You can see all kinds of other fruit that's underneath the leaves that you can't really see from the other side, which is pretty cool. I've plucked several beans off of the pole beans. More cucumbers. They're really starting to become very prolific now. Beans, I've had to wrap around the top. They really have to have something to grow on or they kind of stop growing. More cucumbers. Some are ready to be harvested, and I'm ready to harvest them. The potatoes out here in the garden are doing very well. These are the ones that I just done a layer of cardboard, a layer of mulch, and then the straw. And I have one here that's already dying back, and it may just be because they are ready to be harvested. We will soon find out, because I'll dig down there and see. Now the row of Brussels sprouts and cauliflower look good from a distance, but they're not really producing. And I believe it is too hot for the Brussels sprouts out here in this big garden. So if they don't begin to develop some Brussels sprouts soon, then I will probably just take those out, and I will redo those things in the fall and have a fall garden that do better with a little cooler temperatures. I keep thinking that this cauliflower is going to develop a head, but it has not yet. None of them have. Now I do have some corn planted in between these that I had hoped would grow in time to help make them tolerate the heat better, providing a little bit of shade, but they've not really grown fast enough to do that, and it's mainly because I got the idea just a little late. These are the Fresno peppers. They're starting to become ripe for the picking. And I have already harvested several. I've already harvested some jalapenos. And I see it's time to harvest more, which is wonderful. These are the poblanos. I've harvested some of those. And here are more Fresnos, and I'm going to make some hot sauce with those, so I'm a little excited about that. I'm going to make a sriracha with the Fresno. This is a new one this year, and these are looking gorgeous. These are called the Sugar Rush Peach, and I've already harvested a couple of those, but I have not tasted it yet. This is the Lesia. It's a sweet pepper. It's not big enough to harvest yet. The long, thin cayennes are developing, coming along. All of these are. So I'm not going to go over each and every one. The zinnia is looking really good. This plant beside of it is a pumpkin. This is called the Casper pumpkin. It does not have any fruit on it yet, but I'm hoping to see some soon. I have another one of these out in the garden that is starting to develop some fruit. These are potatoes. Now we're starting to get into the tomatoes, and you can see, despite the heat, these are being prolific. They are really developing lots of fruit. And I have not tasted of this particular one yet, but I do have a ripe one that's in the house that I'll be tasting soon. This is the squash plant that I planted specifically to be a decoy to help keep the squash bugs away from the rest of my plants. And I do not see any fruit on it yet, and all I see are male flowers, so hopefully we'll be seeing something soon from that. And this here is a mix of watermelon and either Kajari or the Petit Gris de Rennes, and I don't remember which I planted. And it has grown so much that I don't even know where the tag is at. These are tomatoes that I actually saved the seeds from a package of tomatoes that I bought at Sam's. And I have not tasted of those either, but I do have one inside that is finally ripe that I'll be tasting soon. These are the Campari tomatoes that have already been producing. These are so delicious. These have a classic tomato flavor that is just absolutely divine. I've been making mini sandwiches with those on the Hawaiian rolls with just turkey, cheese, and a little bit of lettuce and these tomatoes. And oh my goodness, so good. This one's not doing too well. It keeps having a lot of foliage that's dying back. It has some blight going on, and it does not have a whole lot of tomatoes on it. That's the Cherokee Rose. This one has 2 or 3 tomatoes on it, and I've already harvested one. It's called the Mortgage Lifter, and I tell you what, this one was very delicious. I can't remember what this one is without looking, and some of the tags have disappeared, but I have it all written down inside. I think this is the Dr. Witchies. This one has produced so many tomatoes. None of these have been ripe just yet. Oh, no, actually, I take that back. I did have 2 of these that ripened. It's called the Riesentraub, and I did taste it, and it was good. It was not a real sweet, flavored like a lot of the cherry tomatoes that you get, but it was still good. They're all good, y'all. These are the Sunrise Bumblebee. I've harvested several of these, and it is still producing. It has multiple flowers, multiple small tomatoes. This one beside of it is another one of those that I saved seeds from, some tomatoes at Sam's. And this one here has several big tomatoes. And one of those is starting to ripen. I can't remember what this one is either. But I'll look it up when I edit this video. And this is a real different looking tomato. This is called the Oxygen Jewel. And this one keeps the green striping, so it may fool you. You may think that it's not ripe when it is, so you need to make sure that you feel of it so you can see when it's getting soft, and you can harvest it when it is soft. Otherwise, you'll miss that window of deliciousness. This one is called the Hungarian Heart, and it is supposed to be an ox heart tomato, even though I don't think it really looks like one. It's always a possibility that I have mislabeled things. It is also a possibility that you get wrong seeds from somebody, but I will be harvesting this one today. Okay, so I know I've already showed you several tomatoes. I'm not going to try to go through and show you every single one. I've just about done it already anyway because I get excited about tomatoes and want to show everything. But anyway, I have several that are producing. This is where I had some red potatoes planted. I couldn't figure out why it kept dying. Well, it kept dying, I guess, because it was ready to be harvested. So I went ahead and pulled that out, harvested the ones that were in there, thinking there probably would not be anything. But to my surprise, there were several. It was a nice little harvest, and so I went ahead and planted some more. They had reached maturity so fast, so I'm hoping they'll do that again. I have no reason to believe they won't. I have a couple potatoes in this, along with the tatsoi greens that I cut out. And you can see the tatsoi green regrowing. So it may grow another round, which I think would be fantastic. I did not think I would get any Brussels sprouts from any of my Brussels sprout plants because of the heat, but this one's trying to grow some. I'm really excited about that. These are the potatoes that I put in bags. They look a little drab, but I think they've probably got some potatoes down in there. We'll see before much longer. I'm going to let them die completely back before I try to harvest anything. This is the Adirondack Blues. Yeah, Adirondack Blue, and these are the Kennebecks. Both of those are determinate variety. This is my celery. You can see that it's not quite big enough to harvest just yet. You could harvest it and eat it like that, and it would probably be delicious, but I'm going to let it get just a little bigger. These are the greens that went to seed. Look how tall that plant is. And they are all blooming now, making me some nice seeds. The rosemary is getting bigger and bigger. All of the herbs are. I won't go through those one by one. It's always nice to have the grandkids over. Sometimes it makes it hard to do a video, but that's okay. We'll just trudge on through and get it done anyway. The other sunflower is beginning to bloom, and this one has blooms all the way up it. So as soon as they all start blooming, it will start putting on a show. It's got blooms all the way up it on almost every limb. Everything is starting to climb up the arbor, and I love it when it does that because I think it looks so beautiful. These tomatoes over here are Mr. Stripey's. They're starting to turn. They're super small, but that's okay. We'll take what we can get. The purple coneflower, also known as echinacea, has finally started to bloom. So not only is echinacea beautiful when it blooms, it's also medicinal. You can make tea with it. Now on to some of the fun stuff, which are the melons and more tomatoes. So the black strawberry tomatoes are looking so gorgeous. Look at that, y'all. And the one that I have already harvested, actually two I think, the two that I have already harvested were so beautiful. The melons are growing out of the box, which I love to see. I have actually trimmed them back just a little bit so that it can focus on some of the fruits that is already growing. Look down in there under the leaves. Isn't that magnificent? So there's those two down here, and then I have a couple that are actually growing up the arbor. And anytime you have real rain, instead of trying to water from city water or county water or whatever, then you see massive growth. So there it is compared to my hand. These don't get much bigger than that. If it's the Kajari, and I believe it is, I can tell by the striping. So the Kajari melon will not get much bigger than that, but it will start turning colors. And you can see it's beginning to get fruit all over, which I love to see. And here's the other side of that same bed. You can see that the tomatoes are really starting to grow all the way up through there. That's the black strawberry cherry tomato. The melons are doing the same thing. Everything's starting to really outgrow the bed, and that's okay. I love that. And this is my okra. It is finally starting to get some okra. I don't eat okra, but my husband does, and he will be glad to see that. See this big one over here? That one will probably be ready tomorrow. These develop really quickly. Oh, I see another melon, y'all. Look. I love finding the melons among all of the leaves. It's always a great surprise. And look here. These guys are destroying a lot of my plants. So what I've been doing is getting a little plastic can of soapy water, and I've been just plucking these off and throwing them in it because that will kill them. That's about all you can do with these guys. You can also use diatomaceous earth, but there's usually so many of them I can't keep up, so I've been killing them, unfortunately. These potatoes are starting to die back a little bit as well, but I cannot tell if it is because of this intense heat that we've had with absolutely no rain, or if it's because they are ready to be harvested, but none of them have actually flowered. And typically potato plants will flower, and then a couple weeks after they're finishing flowering, then that is when it's a good time to harvest. But these have not done that. Actually, none of mine have.
No.
What?
Yeah.
Yes, you can play with that. The blueberries have done all they're going to do for this year, both of them. The dahlia continues to bloom, but for some reason the blooms are underneath new foliage. I don't know why. Can't even see them. But there are some new ones that are on top, thank goodness. Everything is growing. Looking so beautiful. These are the sweet potatoes. Let me back up a little bit. You can see how those are growing out of the pot. And I have actually trimmed those back, some of the runners that it produces, so that it can concentrate more on the roots that it's developing. That's what a sweet potato is. It is a root vegetable. The blackberries are producing some berries. Not very many, but I do have a few. I keep waiting on more. Look at all that grapevine laying around. My husband is working on a project. He is making a grapevine arbor, which I'm really excited to see. He'll probably sell that one or use it on a job, but I think I might have him to make me one too. I must say I'm just a little jealous. So next year, y'all, I might have myself a grapevine arbor. My zucchini has still not produced any zucchini. And all I see are male flowers. Nope, I see a female. The It's got a little tiny zucchini on it. Hopefully that one will develop. I had one that never did develop, so hopefully this one will. Flowers are looking good. Tomatoes. Got more melons going up the arbor. These are starting to produce also. And I saw several yesterday that are probably under the leaves on the other side. We'll look here in a second, but there are some that are developing on the trellis. This is a little tiny one. This is another sunrise bumblebee that is producing. Those are looking good. This squash plant's growing out of the plant box, and it's producing all kinds of fruit. There's one coming out of the box, and then the one over on this side is already starting to turn color. You can see up on the arbor, there's one hanging down. They're going crazy now, and they're just producing all over the place. There's two more. Two more. Two more. There's the big one. I'll show you how big that is. And I did go ahead and cut down the big sunflower. Look how big that stalk was. It was huge. There's the melons I saw yesterday. There's one of them. I saw another one somewhere. And look at the tomatoes on this plant, y'all. They are everywhere. None of these have matured to be ripe yet, but I'm anxiously awaiting. It says this is a watermelon beefsteak, but I'm not sure I believe it, because this one says it's a watermelon beefsteak. And these two plants do not look anything alike. One has the potato leaf, one does not. So I don't know which one is the real watermelon beefsteak. We'll see from the fruit. This one's just now starting to make fruit. It was planted a lot later. So the raspberry bush has yet to give me any raspberries. I'm not sure why. I probably need to do a little bit of research and see when that thing is supposed to be producing. This bed, I think it's the bed that I put compost in that was not completely composted. I think it was made in a hurry and sold to people. And I think that is a big part of what's going on in this bed. I think that has happened in 2 of my beds, actually. So despite the bad compost, I have some things that are growing in here anyway. My grape. This is my purple grape. It's doing a great job. The melons have not done good in this bed. Despite all my efforts, I have put so many different things on it. I've tried Miracle Grow. I have tried diatomaceous earth to get rid of the ants, because the ants have just put so many aphids on these. And the aphids literally will suck the life out of your plants. This one has been on again, off again. One minute it'll be looking good, the next minute it's looking all crazy. It has a fruit on it. I don't know that it will ever turn into anything. We shall see. This is another one of my decoys. It's the Blue Hubbard. My Brad's Atomic Grape is finally getting some fruit. Oh my goodness, I got a crybaby that didn't get what he wants. So I'm going to finish this up really quick. This is the Casper pumpkin. It has a couple pumpkins on it. This one I don't think was pollinated, so it will die away. This watermelon has 2 watermelons. Hold on, we're going inside. Hold on, hold on, hold on. There's the second one. It's not very big just yet, but it will be. This does not have any melons on it just yet. This is another decoy. I don't see any fruits on it. This is some more melons. I don't know if this is the Kajari or the Petite Gris de Rennes. We'll see when the fruits begin to develop a little more. And last but not least, another watermelon. And that one has probably grown more than any. So hopefully that one will develop into a fully mature watermelon that we can enjoy. Well, that's it for this garden tour. I hope that you all have enjoyed it. I hope that you enjoy the content that I put on concerning the garden. If you have any questions, you can always post something in the comment. If you know me, you can private message me. But I hope that you have enjoyed it. And if you do, just please like, and you can either share, make a comment. You know, any of those things help to support the channel. So I hope you all have a great day. God bless you.